What's up, YouTube? This is Talking Crazy 88. Back again with another podcast for you. I want you, and you want me. So don't we get together after the dance? Hold on, let me slow this down. Let me slow this down a little bit. Oh my goodness, I was just getting into it. Doing background singing and shit. The late great Marvin Gaye. What y'all know about Marvin Gaye? What y'all know about this smooth R&B and soul? I ain't know nothing because the shit that's out today has no soul. This is a legend, people. Marvin Gaye was a legend. I'll tell you a story, man. Back around 30 years ago on April 1st, man, I'll tell you. I first heard a news report that he died after his father killed him. That was a shock to me. Even at 11 years old, 10 years old at the time when I heard that news. Oh, man. And he was on top of his game with sexual healing. Oh, let me slow this down. Let me get into it. That's one of my favorite songs, man. After the Dance. And I never get tired of listening to it too, man. This is part of my Saturday sermon. This is gonna be my Saturday sermon, man. So I'm gonna get right into it, man. That's the best way to start off a Saturday is with a Marvin Gaye classic. That's one of my favorite songs that I like to play on Saturdays. I have a section on my music player on my phone where it's just Saturday favorites, man. I'm not gonna tell you what it is. You're just gonna have to figure it out, people. But let me just go ahead and get into it, man. Last night I was listening to a radio show, internet radio show, and I think you know who this guy is, and I'm not going to go into the details of it, but apparently he came on his show crying over some punk ass bitch that dumped him. Now he was up here crying like a little bitch, wanted to go home and stranded out in California, and all rambling on and on and on and on and on and on, looking like a weak nigga because some punk ass bitch dumped him. And he's about close to my age, and this is something that a 20-year-old or even a teenager would go through this. A teenage boy would go through this phase, man, about having some punk ass bitch dump you after you put your heart and soul and treated her like a gentleman and you were in love, but the bitch ain't in love with you and you got played. We all as fellas went through that shit. I went through that shit 10 years too late. I was 29 when I was 26, 27 when I was with that punk ass bitch who dumped me, who eventually dumped me. And this was a punk ass single mama at 25 years old when I met this bitch. So she was damaged goods from the onset, but she felt like, I was a queen. I'm a catch. Bitch, you a broke ass single mama. You ain't no goddamn catch. But see, and I had a father in my life too. And usually guys get their hearts broken at an early age. And as we get older and wiser and see what women are like and see what people are like, you begin to pick up on, you begin to say, be a little bit more cynical. Me at my age, at my old age. Well, not. I gotta stop saying old because I'm not old. I'm middle aged, and I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with that. I'm not running around with a wheelchair with an oxygen tank attached to me, so I'm not old. And even if I was old, I wouldn't feel it because I would still be active. I kind of can tell that I would be an active old man into my 80s, going to the gym, running marathons, living life. Because this is what black men need to start doing. We need to start living life. We need to stop behaving like niggas. And we got to stop acting like punk ass bitches, taking these punk ass bitches seriously. With this guy, he's a clown. I don't know if he's a coon or not. Everybody says he's a coon, and he's a clown. But this was a clown that took this woman, a white woman, very too seriously. That woman wasn't interested in having children with you. She wasn't trash. She was a hot white woman. Her stock dropped being with a black man. This is the thing about white supremacy. Now I don't know about their situation or their life or whatever. I don't know. All I can tell you is that he looked like a beaten dog, having to settle out of court with another internet, with a higher profile internet radio show host who did 3 documentaries. But I'm not going to get into that shit. But this is a lesson for black men. Stop taking women seriously. I'm talking to these young black men who don't have fathers in their life. Stop taking women seriously. Stop whining and dining them. Stop sending flowers to them on a daily basis. Stop calling them on a daily basis. Stop being so sprung. Because you can tell when a woman is into you or not into you, all right? And I can tell right now, I was seeing someone, and I was calling every day, but I figured out that she wasn't calling me every day. She wasn't calling me like she used to. Now, I'm leaving out a whole lot on this story, but the main gist of it is that the bitch wasn't into me. The bitch wanted to be alone. The bitch wanted to do her own thing, and this was a woman around my age who lived life, who had children early. The children are out of the house. I thought I was gonna move right in. When the children were moving out, I was gonna move right on in, because that's how I roll. I ain't changing no shitty diapers unless those children are related to me. I ain't changing nobody's diapers. I ain't taking care of nobody else's kids except the ones that are related to me. Okay? That's related to Talking Crazy 88. Everybody else can go to hell. Okay? So, now that I got that established, and I established that at first, man. I told her that, look, kids got to be out of the house. And I'm moving right on in. Shit. If we're going to do this, we're going to do this together. But she wasn't having that. She was all offended by that shit. So I said, you know what? Fuck it. Just charge it to the game. I didn't sit around crying over it. I wasn't heartbroken. I said, well, fuck it. Next. See, that's how you got to treat these punk ass American bitches. That you got to charge them to the game if they're not feeling you. And you can almost tell. Don't waste your time like this punk ass nigga did. You know, he admitted on this show he knew it wasn't working 6 months ago, but, you know, I wanted to work at it. No, if the bitch don't like you, the bitch don't like you anymore. Charge it to the game. Move on. I mean, come on, man. Because I listen to Tom Likas. I listen to all these brothers out here who, who's putting me up on game. Even at my age, I'm still learning. I'm still learning the game, and I'm mastering the game. I'm mastering what these punk ass bitches will do. And don't think it's because it's American women that you're not going to have the same problems overseas. You will have the same problems overseas. It's just different. At least the women over there, they have a semblance of respect for men over there. But I don't know how much respect they have for American black men. Okay? Because of the images that's being thrown out on YouTube and World Star Nigger Network. They have an impression on black Americans that we are lower class. We're a lower class citizens. We're like the Mexicans of the black race. We used to be the gold standard, people, but now we're just low standards, man. What the fuck happened to us? Excuse me, I'm coming down with a fucking cold, man. In November. Shit. I ain't got no Ebola virus, but nah, man. I'm just coming down with an early cold, man. But anyway, let me get back into this shit. But yeah, y'all gotta stop taking these women seriously. And getting back to our image overseas, didn't I tell you that the images overseas about black men being punks, we're the laughing stock now? Because you know why? Because a lot of these boys have been raised by women, not by men, by women. And fortunately, I had a father that I could talk to about, what I was going through. And made me figure out, hey, man, just charge that shit to the game. I realized that years later, instead of just trying to curse this bitch out when I see her, just charge that shit to the game. Rebuild yourself and charge that shit to the game. Shit, man. Where did this fucking cold come from? Anyway. We got some night going on. Shit. I gotta go running in a few minutes, man. Where the fuck my vitamin C is at, man? That's bullshit. I'm not supposed to come down with a cold, man. Anyway. But yeah, don't take these bitches seriously. When they say I love you, just look at them cross-eyed and crazy. Because until they show you that they love you, they don't mean that shit. Like the bitch I'm seeing. She ain't called me to check up on me, so fuck it. I was always checking up on that bitch. But I said, let me stop calling this bitch and see what happens. And lo and behold, she stopped calling. Charge that shit to the game. Delete that number out of your book. Out your phone. Excuse me. Delete that number out of your phone and move on. Fuck it. I don't take these bitches seriously. Why? For what? I don't get butthurt if a bitch don't want me anymore. For what? But now that I got that out of the way, I mean, y'all young brothers out there who don't got a father in your life, come holler at me. Go listen to Tariq. Go listen to some of these brothers out here who know how to handle these punk ass bitches out here. Because it's not just because they're black Americans. All American women are trash. All women will try to play you like a sucker, straight up sucker, if you allow them to. But let me go ahead and get into some. Let me go ahead and talk about something else here. Now that I got that shit off my chest here. Now, I'm going to respond to a couple of comments that was left on some of my previous podcasts. One in particular is the black Americans should get to know foreign blacks. Now, there was 2 comments that was left on my page. What I do is I approve the comments. I read them first, but then I just approve to see if it's acceptable to go onto my page, to be posted on my page. If it's funny and entertaining, it's going to go on my page. If I don't feel like it's conducive to the subject, then it's not going to go on. If you try to troll and try to insult me, you're damn sure not getting on you're not going to get your comment on. What's going to happen is I'm going to send you an email, and then I'm going to block you. Okay? But I'm a fair guy. If it's funny and entertaining, it's going to go on. If it's not, what can I tell you? But anyway, I did a podcast about a couple of months ago that black Americans should try to get to know foreign blacks. Because in light of what's going on with Ferguson and the recent clashes with black men in the police, we're going to have to start getting to know our cousins overseas, forming allegiance, forming allies. And what that means is that we got to get our economic and political game together. We're not ready for it. That's all I'm saying. We're not ready to get to know our cousins. But we should start by getting to know them when they're over here, because we're going to definitely need them. Now, here's a comment from Utah Canyon, who stated that the lady was right. Most black Americans are trash. Look at Chicago and Atlanta. Okay, let me just start right there. Those are the 2 places that this person named where, yeah, there's a lot of ratchetness there. But, nobody really talks about certain cities where there are well-to-do black Americans live. We don't talk about the well-to-do black Americans that are here, that are accomplished, that go to school and go to universities and graduate from college and live, pretty much a good life. Not even the college educated, the working class black folks who are married and have families, who don't bother anybody. Because at the end of the day, I'm not trash. I'm a black American. I'm not trash. I live in New York City. I don't bother anybody. So what this person said, maybe most of them, is pretty much an insult to me because I'm black American. Okay? and think about it like this, man. I see ratchetness. I live in a West Indian neighborhood where you see a whole lot of ratchetness going on with West Indians, okay? So don't think it's just an American thing. You go overseas, you get your ass on a boat and go overseas. You get to see a whole lot of ratchetness overseas in Trinidad and Jamaica and on the Nevis, St. Kitts. You'll see a whole lot of ratchet. Curacao, now that's an island full of niggas on Curacao. Now you never heard of that? You never heard of Curacao? Well, let me tell you something. That's a Dutch colony owned by the Netherlands, where it's just full of niggers on that island. Okay, so let's be careful when you talk about Black Americans. Okay, we all need to get our shit together, and we all gonna need each other, especially the well-to-do, the educated. We need to start promoting the educated, not the niggers. We need to start promoting the working class, not the niggers. The working class and the educated, we need to start to prop up instead of the niggers, instead of the subculture. Okay, let me continue. I lived on Ashby Street in Atlanta from 1966 to 1981, so this is an old man. Okay, great childhood, and now the ATL is garbage. Well, that lady is right. Most Black Americans are trash. Well, I tend to disagree with you, but you lived on Ashby Street in Atlanta. Okay, I don't know where that is. I've never been down. I've never been to that part of Atlanta, so I don't really know too much about it. But from what I understand, I have relatives that live in Atlanta, and they said, "Man, it's gone to hell." And you may be right about that, brother or sister, whoever you are. I don't know if you're a man or a woman, but apparently you're an elderly person. You're my elder, so I'm gonna be a little bit more respectful. That lady was out of her mind. That lady was indoctrinated with shit that went on in her country, from the thoughts of what's going on in her country. Her impressions of Black Americans in her country. And that's usually through media. That's our fault because we don't control the media. But however, on the internet, we do have an semblance of control. And when you have websites like World Star Nigger Network and YouTube, and you posting all these ratchet fight videos and booty shaking videos, and getting paid diddly squat for it, for posting these videos, you're not making any money off of this shit. You just want to be seen. So, in a way, that woman is half right, but in a way, that woman was wrong for going off on those brothers like that, because she internalized something that probably happened to her or had a bad experience with Black Americans. But at the end of the day, when you're in this country, you're behind enemy lines. You're not in Kenya anymore. You're not in your home country. You're in America, baby. So when they start making sweeps of locking Black men and women up, rest assured you're going to be caught up in that sweep. Because they don't give a fuck where you came from. The white folks here, they don't give a fuck where you came from. Okay? Especially if you have ties back in Africa, they're going to tell you, get your black ass back to Africa. Okay? And that's probably the worst that they're going to do, is probably deport your black ass. Okay? If they don't string you up. So, I had to make a comment on it because that comment is not conducive of what the agenda of my podcast was all about. We need to cut that shit out. We need to cut that shit out right now. We need to start getting to know our cousins overseas. And our cousins overseas need to start being respectful to Black Americans. I know at one point we were like the gold standard we were somebody to look up to because we did fight for our rights. We did fight to where we are today. Unfortunately, it turned out snake eyes for us because we got a whole lot of shit that we have to deal with the homosexual agenda that's plaguing our community, our boys being raised without fathers, our boys being raised by women, our boys being feminized, and our little girls masculinized. The gender roles have been reversed in our community. We have become punks to everybody else in the dominant society. Everybody in the dominant society can come in and punk us. They don't have to be police officers now to punk us. Okay? But the whole purpose of that video, of that podcast, of my podcast, was we need to get our political and economic game together, and we need to start forming allies with our cousins overseas who have the resources. But I also said in my podcast that we're not ready for it. As Black Americans, we're not ready to do that. But we got to start somewhere. Well, anyway, I got to go on my run. I got to get ready for my run. So I'll be back with another podcast later on, gang. This is Talking Crazy 88. And I am out of here, people.